Saints Steelers betting preview here. We're going to watch the Action Network's preview video, and then we're going to talk about the game a little bit and some stuff that I'm looking at. So let's jump right into the video.
Saints at the Steelers.
Yep.
Steelers +3 right now.
Okay, so I'm not sure where they got this line. This was filmed 2 days ago for them. But the Saints on Caesars is what the sportsbook we use. The Saints are -1.5. So I'm not sure where this +3 came from. We look at the injury report. So this injury report came out yesterday. The video is from 2 days ago. Offensive line issues: Andres Pete, Eric McCoy out. PJ Williams is questionable. Marcus May is questionable. Pete Werner's out. Lattimore's out, who has been out. Probably should be on IR. Ingram's out. Davenport's questionable. And so Michael Thomas obviously is injured reserve. Some of the same injuries. So I don't know if the offensive line injuries is what moved it, but it's not 3. So we got to take that into consideration.
I know. What do we do here, though? Because we don't even know who the Saints quarterback is. So
it's going to be Dalton. Dalton will be. I think Dalton will be the quarterback moving forward, unless he has a complete meltdown in a game.
I don't think it matters.
I wanted to take Andy Dalton. If it's not, we're all learning pretty quickly here. If it's not prime time, you take Andy. If it's a prime time game, God forbid, do not take Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I mean Dalton's like 0-13 on an 0-13 streak or something like that in primetime games.
How do I keep doing it? I keep not seeing these stats about him melting down in primetime. As soon as the game starts, Action will tweet it out. It's like, yeah, he's 6-16 in primetime games. It's like, geez, just let that money on fire. He fucking sucks, Andy Dalton.
Whoa, hey, pal. Family show.
I don't know what to do here. Every ounce of my body wants me to take the Saints. They're the better team. They're the more complete team. We've seen Pittsburgh.
Are they? Are they the more complete team? I'm not sure about that.
They've been a seller. They were a seller at the deadline, but not even that. Their offense has no identity. Like they just have nothing there.
That's true.
Where the Saints, I know.
Neither do the Saints. Neither do the Saints.
I know exactly who they are and what they are. So
who are they?
So I don't know. I'll probably pass on this one for right now, but I'm leaning towards the Saints. I just think they're the better team.
Feels like a Mike Tomlin rah-rah to me.
Yeah, it probably is.
Sorry.
I kind of hope this is the whole video. Like, I don't know, pass. Yeah, me too, pass. Video over.
The Steelers had a bye. The Saints have a short week. A home dog. Like, if you're going to get right and rally the troops around the guys in the locker room, give Kenny Pickett, an extra week to learn.
Yeah.
The Saints.
I hate that we have to watch this guy at the top of his head the entire video because he's got those beautiful eyes.
Saints coming off a really devastating loss. That feels to me like you're tanking the Steelers here. And by the way, you're hoping to get them at 3 and not have it go to 2.5 because the money's coming in on the Steelers right now and the line is moving.
Okay, so unbelievable performance from Action Network, who, I mean, how do you put this video out? I mean, how do you put this video out? There's no pick, there's no nothing, there's no insight. How was that possible? So let's try and do our best to fix what we just saw. So if we go to VSiN, we'll go to VSiN here. We'll look at the bet and splits first. So the Saints are -1. The Saints are getting 53% of the bets. 53% of the tickets are on the Saints. The Steelers are getting 58% of the handle. So a little bit of a bet discrepancy there. That's kind of where we're looking at with that. If we go into the odds, let's take a look here. So it's New Orleans, Pittsburgh, open at 2.5, 1.5 across the board. Like I said, the injury news, TJ Watt coming back, all that stuff. So if we look at trends, I don't know if we can find this, but I know Mike Tomlin as a dog is really good. I know Mike Tomlin as a dog is strong. I don't know if we can find that. Steelers. Let's see. Pittsburgh, playing Pittsburgh at home as a dog. They're 17-4-4. So that's 81%. That's pretty strong against the spread. That's a big one. That's one that's notable. Pittsburgh versus Andy Dalton, 8-2. So that's another 80%. That's strong as well because that means Tomlin knows Dalton, obviously. If we look at some more, I wanted to see if they have an off a bye or anything like that. Pittsburgh as an underdog, you're talking about 70, 41, and 7. That's 63%. That's not bad either. Pittsburgh versus teams that are losing record, 5-1 and 1 last 7. So that's 83%. These are pretty strong. These are pretty. These are pretty gnarly. I don't mind these trends at all. You know, we're not a big trends better, I guess, but those I think are notable for sure. If they're Saints, let's see, play against the Saints. I was trying to see if they have. All right, play on New Orleans versus opponent after a bye. That's interesting. Okay, so let's break this down. So they mentioned that Pittsburgh was the more complete team. I don't think I don't see how the Saints can be considered a complete team right now. I mean, the Saints just don't. They do not have an identity. We do not know what they're going to do. So let's look at some player props, right? Let's look at some player props right now, because that's always an interesting thing. So let's see where they have Kamara. So we've been doing the Kamara rushing attempts. We've been doing that. Do they not have that out yet? We're filming this on a Saturday, so all the props aren't going to be out. So they have yards. They don't have attempts. Okay, so let's look at the yards. Kamara's at 65 yards. They've been putting him out at 15.5 or 14.5. He had a low game last week because Allen abandons the run when they're down. So I think he may be at that 14.5 mark. Passing, not interested. Receptions, they don't have. They do not have my boy Alvin out there. I was looking for him. He's usually at 3.5 or 4.5. He was under last week too, so this could be a spot for that. Deontay Johnson 4.5. That could be interesting to look at. We'll see what Kenny Pickett. Let's see what Kenny Pickett does with Deontay, because you want to see these young quarterbacks. They're more likely to fall into like a pattern versus like an older player who's more confident and more comfortable. A young player may target one receiver or make one read. So he's played 5 games. All right, so let's go ahead and look at Deontay Johnson. Let's see if we can get back. ESPN's always doing the most. All right, Deontay. So the last 5 games, he's gone target-wise 9, 10. So he's a very high target share. Very high target share, pretty much the entire season. So regardless of who's playing quarterback, so he's someone I would look at. Him being 4.5 is interesting when you're looking at, you know, he's gone over that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 8 games. I'm not sure how he's sitting at 4.5, especially with Lattimore out and the cluster injuries to the Saints secondary. So I may be taking Deontay Johnson today just to go ahead and get that out of the way. You can see it being juiced to 157. You don't want to see that move. Props very rarely move like that. They'll just continue to juice it. But tomorrow, this could easily be 175, 180 unless they move it. As far as the actual game, look, here's the deal. All right. I don't want to follow the Action Network, guys, but this would be a pass for me. It's either Pittsburgh or pass, bottom line. On one hand, you do want to back teams who lose big on Monday night or primetime because the whole country is going to fade them. But as we saw with the betting splits, that's not the case, right? I would be concerned if Pittsburgh was getting like 70% of the bets and 58% of the handle. But that's not the case, right? So the public is still, and this isn't a huge discrepancy. 53 and 47 is not that big of a deal. And we'll see more of that come in tomorrow as well. These numbers will be updated. But 53% of bets on the Saints makes me feel like Pittsburgh's a play, because we're not in that camp of, you know, a huge amount of people are poo-pooing the Saints because of Monday Night Football. So Tomlin versus Allen is an enormous advantage for Pittsburgh. I love that for Tomlin. Pittsburgh, they said, was off a bye, correct? I mean, the spot is great for Pittsburgh. They played. So the last game was against the Eagles. They played the Eagles on, when was this? October 30th. So yeah, so they got a bye. So you got Pittsburgh at home off a bye. You have New Orleans short rest on the road, injured. Tomlin as a dog. I think you got to play Pittsburgh here. I mean, and Pittsburgh's not a bad teaser leg either. If you want to, I mean, it's not the greatest teaser leg in the world, but it's not bad. So I mean, at this spot. And I do like teasing games with a short total of 39.5. Man, right now, if I had to, I would take Pittsburgh I would look at teasing Pittsburgh. I would take Deontay Johnson's prop. So from the Saints, we're going to say the same thing we say every time. We want to see Dennis Allen get his playmakers involved. And that playmaker is Michael Thomas. No, it's not. Alvin Kamara. I want to see Alvin Kamara getting catches. I want to see him getting carries. I want to see Taysom Hill being utilized. But can Dennis Allen do that on a short rest? We know the Saints took Tuesday as a recovery day. They took Tuesday off. So we're assuming that this was a Wednesday, Thursday, travel Friday, or some situation like that. So we're looking at a Wednesday, Thursday prep. Short rest. I don't know, man. I mean, I just don't see it for the Saints. I know I'm kind of down on the Saints right now, so they may be skewing my mind on this. They may be skewing kind of how I look at this, but I just don't know if I can see the Saints going on the road and performing well in this situation with these injuries. And I mean, you try and find consistency when you're betting. You would try and avoid variables. The problem is that right now the Saints are just variables. We don't know. Dennis Allen doesn't have a consistent game plan. We don't know if it's going to be a heavy dose of Alvin Kamara. We do know if they're losing by 7 or 10, Dennis Allen will give up on the run. And I mean, we saw that in Arizona. We saw that against Baltimore. So if that's the case, that's not going to be great. There should be turnovers in this game with Kenny Pickett and Andy Dalton. Both of them are certainly turnover prone. 2 offensive linemen being out and TJ Watt coming back is never what you want to see. But that we can't factor that into our bets because Vegas already knows that, right? TJ Watt was announced days ago. So there's no point in me going over that because that's already been factored into this line. So yeah, right now I don't have tickets on this game. I'm going to go ahead and say I will have a ticket on Deontay Johnson in the next hour and a half at 4.5. So you can put that on my card. I probably won't bet this game because I don't have to bet this game. If I'm looking for a teaser leg, I may look into Pittsburgh. But as of right now, the side is probably a pass for me. But yeah, I mean, I'll be watching and we'll recap this game and all that stuff. So I would look at that stuff. We went over some trends. This is not a juicy game. I would not say this is a juicy one. So that's the analysis for me, and hopefully this helped you in factoring in your bets. Go get some winners. As my friend Brent Musburger says, cashing tickets is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen.